But I want to be clear about one other thing too, about getting the balance right between the public and private sectors. We're not the scourge of public sector workers. We all know how vital good quality public services are. People need a good health service, they need good education in their schools. And we recognise that in a region where 33% of the people are work in the public sector, it is an important part of the local economy. But I think the best way to correct the imbalance between the public and private sectors is to grow the private sector in absolute terms as well as its relative size. But I recognise that the right organisational structure for government to engage with business, whilst necessary to deliver our benchmark of improving regional prosperity, is not sufficient. There are other areas where we need to make progress to try to spread prosperity beyond London and the South East. London is currently served by 3 of the biggest airports in the UK and several smaller ones. We need to deliver a UK-wide system of infrastructure, not to compete with, but to complement London's enviable position, so we can spread prosperity throughout the UK. We will create a stable and transparent framework to encourage private sector investment in infrastructure. We will begin work on Britain's first ever north-south high-speed rail line to connect London and Heathrow with Birmingham, Manchester and Leeds, increasing capacity and reducing travel times. But our aspiration is to go further in the years to come, to a line that stretches north of Newcastle and to Scotland, to a network connecting many of the UK's major cities in a national high-speed network. Now, whilst railways were the new communication highways of the 19th century, we need to build their 21st century equivalent. That's why we'll be the first country in Europe to extend superfast 100 BPS broadband across most of the population by opening up network infrastructure, easing planning rules and boosting competition, acting with the BBC pursuant to its public purpose of delivering to the public the benefit of emerging communication technology and services. Whilst the railways were the highway for communication and spreading wealth in the 19th century, surely broadband will play an important role in doing so in the decades that lie ahead. And I think improving the infrastructure is part of these essential preconditions for fostering a burgeoning and vibrant private sector throughout the regions, and especially here in the North East. But I also want to talk about the diversification of economic activity. Not only is our economy too focused on London and South East geographically, but it's also concentrated on too few industries. It's been demonstrated by our over-reliance on financial services, which has left our country vulnerable as the financial crisis has taken hold. But diversification is equally important here in the North East. Even before the crisis began in the Square Mile, the effects were felt here almost immediately. In the first year of the financial crisis, unemployment rose 3 times faster, at 15% in the north of England, than the economy as a whole. As exports have dried up, we've seen the effects all too clearly on a manufacturing industry which continues to decline at an unprecedented speed. Similarly, we've seen the continued erosion of our old industrial base, demonstrated by the recent closure of Chorus in Teesside. As I said earlier, in the North East, we've lost 58,000 jobs in the manufacturing sector over the last decade. When the Cabinet met in Durham last week, I was interested to read the editorial in the Northern Echo, which sent a message to the Cabinet which I could have written myself. Our message to the Cabinet is that the North East needs urgent support to build a more diverse economy which is not so reliant on old heavy industry and the public sector. I think all of us would agree with that. So I think what we need to do is to foster new opportunities. And there are already signs of this in the North East. We see the Clipper wind power plant on the banks of the Tyne. But let's not forget that there are opportunities along the banks of the Wear for that sort of industry as well. We've got Nissan's impressive plans to build more electric cars. But it's clear that these early developments indicate there are strong prospects for growth in the green technology sector. But Britain's share of these opportunities is still far too small. At the moment, our share is less than 5%. And our competitors have stolen the march on us. Germany has about 11%, and the US has over a third of the market. We know that we need to cut our carbon emissions to tackle the challenge of climate change. But the low-carbon economy also should provide exciting opportunities for British businesses if we can develop indigenous industrial capacity rather than simply importing solutions from other countries. We will encourage private sector investment to put Britain at the forefront of the green technology revolution, creating jobs and business opportunities across the country. We will create Britain's first green investment bank, which will draw together money currently divided across existing government initiatives, leverage private sector capital to finance new green technology startups and back the bright ideas of the future. We will act urgently to accelerate the demonstration of carbon capture and storage technology, in which Britain should have a leading position, but is overtaken by other countries that lack the skills, research, and the industrial and geographical advantages that we have. We will give energy companies incentives to build a national recharging network for electric cars. It's good to see the government's announcement today following the lead that we've set. We've also asked Sir James Dyson to lead a review in how we can foster high-tech, high-growth manufacturing businesses. I want to see his insights applied here in the North East. The cradle of the first industrial revolution should become the home for the next one. I believe the package of measures we have will help us close our gap on our competitors and represents a real opportunity to make a transition here in the North East from the old model of growth to a new one that will sustain growth in the future, to creating a modern, forward-looking, diverse economy. What I've spoken about today is our plans about the need to restore our economy to growth. What we need is very clear. We need growth that is sustainable, and that's the right approach, and I believe that will deliver benefits for the whole of the UK. But I've also pointed out how I think this new economic model represents an opportunity for the North East. The importance of spreading prosperity throughout the UK is so important to us that it is one of the 8 benchmarks against which you can judge us. Growing the private sector outside of London and the South East is not a threat for areas of traditionally high public spending, but an opportunity. Branching out will create opportunities for the North East to be at the centre of our plans to diversify the economy. Rahm Emanuel, the Chief of Staff to Barack Obama, recently said, "You never want a serious crisis to go to waste." In some respects, he's right. This crisis that we've been through has forced us to reappraise our previous model of economic growth. Where others would seek to restore the debt-laden growth of the pre-crisis period, with public spending crowding out enterprise and innovation, we have set out a different way of doing things. The financial crisis and subsequent recession have quashed the case for the old model of economic growth. We will continue to make the case for having a different model, a new model for Britain, a different way of doing things, particularly here in the North East, where the potential gains are so great. Thank you very much.